All right, quick little tutorial on volume for anybody out there that still needs help. So I'm just going to do a quick three little slide tutorial. Make sure that you're trying to get into the Zoom lessons, which are for math on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 10 a.m. to roughly about 10:45. We almost went to 11 o'clock today, but we're trying to give you a little bit of break before you have to move on to science. So here we go, quick breakdown of volume. I'm going to do three quick slides. It's probably the three most from today's lesson that I find the most important, or just three good examples. So first up, the volume formula, okay? This is the volume formula for all prisms, okay? So this right here, how to find the area, or sorry, the volume of any prism, you take the area of the base and you multiply up times the height. The issue is the area of the base changes depending on what type of shape you're working with. When you write this shorthand, it's big B times little h. So big B stands for the area of the base of the shape, and then you multiply it times the height or how tall the prism is. Okay, so down below here, what are the bases? This is a triangular prism. So the most important thing is they can show a prism in any, it doesn't matter how it's facing. It's always going to be a triangular prism. It doesn't matter how I rotate the prism at all. So what you do need to understand is that the reason why it's called a triangular prism is because its base, the two opposite parallel sides, are both triangles. There's no opposite parallel sides in a triangular prism other than the two triangles. So always make sure that the shape is sitting on the base. So if it's not sitting on its base, just turn the object until it's sitting on there. Rectangular prisms and cubes are actually a little bit easier because the base is always a four-sided shape, and when we go to apply the formula, these use the same exact formula. Triangular prisms use a separate formula. And then obviously when you get to 8th grade and you start learning about cones and spheres and cylinders, there's all different, but they all go back to this area of the base times the height of the prism, big B times little h. So the two that we work on this year in 7th grade are rectangular prisms and triangular prisms. The rectangular prisms is actually always the easiest. So to find the volume, it's going to be the area of the base times the height of the prism. Well, the base of a rectangular prism is a rectangle or a square, which means we're going to do length times width. And then we can't forget, because in our original formula, the area of the base is the length times width part, and we still have to multiply it times the height of the prism. The reason why rectangular prisms are so easy is because they only give you those three dimensions, the length, the width, and the height. So over here, real quick, the length would be 2 times the width, which would be 5, times the height, how tall the entire structure is, times 8. When you multiply that, 2 times 5 is 10, 10 times 8, 80. And we use cubic meters or cubic units to represent volume. So like with area, when we do area, it's squared units. Volume is now cubic units because you're doing millimeter times millimeter times millimeter, millimeter to the third power. Okay, so again, cubes and rectangles, you basically just do the formula that you should be fairly familiar with, length times width times height, multiply the three numbers, boom, done, problem's over. Triangular prisms, on the other hand, actually are a little bit trickier because there's not a length, there's not a width, there still is a height, but there's multiple heights, and we need to figure out how to apply this generic formula to all prisms. Okay, so again, I know to find the volume, it's the area of the base times the height of the prism. Well, a triangular prism has a triangular base. So even though this isn't sitting on its base, it's sitting on the bottom rectangle over here, it's still a triangular prism because the two opposite sides are triangles and they're parallel, they're congruent, they're exactly the same. So the first thing we want to think, well, how do we find the area of a triangle? Well, that's 1/2 times the base of the triangle times the height of the triangle. I'm going to put this in parentheses because this is just for the base. This is just how we're going to find the area of the base. Again, area of the base times the height of the prism. This 1/2 base times height is because the area of the base is a triangle, 1/2 base times height. But I still have to multiply it by the entire height of the prism. Remember, when you go to do the area of a triangle, 1/2 times the base times the height, you need to find the right angle. Right here is our right angle. I'll even put a little circle around it so that you can follow along with me. Right here, okay, or actually I'm going to make it a little square. I'll just make it a little darker with a different color, black. Right here is a right triangle. The two numbers touching the right angle are our base and height of the triangle. So it's 1/2 times the base, 21, times the height, 42, of the triangle. But remember, I'm going to put this back in parentheses for now. This doesn't matter if you do this in a calculator or not, but this is just the area of just the triangle. But I still have to multiply that times the height of the entire prism. Well, this is where triangular prisms should be the hardest thing to think about. How tall is the entire thing? Well, I can't say 42 because that's not the entire height of the entire structure. That's just the height of the triangle. Remember what I went back to this slide. I said always stand them up on their bases. Put them on their feet. Think about your feet as your base of your body. When you get measured, you don't stand laying or you don't lay down. You don't put your hands and go upside down. You stand up straight, your feet on the ground, back against the wall, and you get measured how tall you are. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to take this triangular prism, and it's not going to lay down anymore. I'm going to turn it so that now the triangles are its bases on the bottom. Now I can clearly think, well, how tall, if I had a wall behind this prism, how tall is the prism? It's 50 feet tall right here, right? This would be the height, how tall the entire prism is. So this 50 right here is the height of the prism. This 47 is one of those distractors in math that's trying to distract you from helping you get the answer. If this was surface area, that 47 would be important, but because this is volume and I'm multiplying times the height of the prism, I would have to do 1/2 times the base of the triangle times the height of the triangle times the height of the entire prism. And again, to make sure you got the height of the prism, put it on its feet, put it on its base, and stand it straight up nice and tall. Once you get to that, you can pick up your calculator. I'm going to do it right now because I know it's a rather large number. 1/2 times 21 times 42 times 50 in a calculator means that the volume was 22,050 cubic feet. And I will move this down so you can see it. Sorry, my home computer, I only have the trial of smart software and it keeps this limited mode for me. And that would be the volume or how much space, sorry, I wanted to do how much space is on the inside of that triangular prism. Last week when we did surface area, we found like how much would cover the outside. Volume measures how much is on the inside. So again, most important thing is that if they give you more than 3 dimensions in a triangular prism, which oftentimes they will, you figure out where the base of the triangle is, where the height of the triangle is. Remember, they form a right angle. So again, there's my right angle. And then we stand up nice, straight, and tall, and we figure out what's the height of the prism. And then that extra number, we just kind of pretend like it's not there, or we cross it out. I hope this tutorial helped you out. Make sure you tried your classwork out. If you have any other questions, feel free to reach